Welcome to Learn with Cameron. This is Cameron. Today we're going to do a recipe. We're going to make Andy's shrimp chowder. It has just a few ingredients. It has shrimp, garlic, green onions, cayenne, milk, cream potato soup, and butter. So we're going to learn a couple of different things. We're going to learn how to defrost shrimp. Pretty simple. Chop green onions, and then we're going to melt the butter and saute the garlic, onions, and cayenne in that butter. Once that's got a nice, sizzle going, we'll put in the shrimp and saute the shrimp with that. Then add in the soup, and then add in a can and a half of milk. Then we're going to wash out the cans with a little bit of the milk. Bring that to boil and turn it down for 10 minutes. And then after that, we have a nice, hearty, tasty soup. The full recipe calls for cream cheese and corn, but over the years I've skipped that because the cream cheese makes it a little too rich, a little too hard on the tummy sometimes, and the corn doesn't really add much. It adds just much of fiber. So we're going to make that tasty soup.
All right, we are in the kitchen now. We have all the ingredients laid out except for the milk. I'm going to keep it in the fridge until we need to use it. We've got the green onions, got the garlic, the cayenne pepper, and the cream potato soup, and the shrimp. So I'll start with the green onions. I'll chop those up. I like to kind of line them up so it makes it easy to cut all the ends off in one fell swoop. You often end up with some little bits, but that's all right. Start with the white, and I mostly do the white. I cut down to the green a little bit, but sometimes the green is too bitter for my taste, so I do a little bit, like I said. So I do a little bit of this where it's in the transition between white and green. Kind of set those aside, set the heads aside, and you just do a kind of rough chop with these. Nothing precise, nothing special. I don't know if there's even a name for this kind of cut. You just kind of chop them up. You may have to go back and forth a couple times. Reorganize your pile as you cut, and clean off the blade as you go, but that's all right. So we'll just cut those. And like I said, those will go in with the garlic and the cayenne with the butter. So you can see the sort of rough cut I got with that. And we're just going to take the butter, like I said, and we're going to take the other ingredients, the garlic and the cayenne, pop it in the pan, and get that going. So let's scoop everything in. And the garlic is just a heaping teaspoon, whatever this is, as to taste. Some people like it, some people don't. People like garlic. So we have our cayenne on top. And apply the heat on my electric stove. I call it a 3 or 4 to start with, which is, a third of the way up. So medium heat. Just get that sauteing for a bit, and we'll get going with that, and I'll be back in a bit. While the spices are sauteing, we'll get started on defrosting the shrimp. We've got our pretty big ones, pretty honking guys and gals, non-binary shrimp, whatever you got. So I make this for my wife and my wife really likes shrimp, so I'm going to load up on the shrimp and get going on defrosting these. And as we go along, I'll kind of show you how to take the shells and the little feet off, and we'll go from there. My kitchen is pretty darn dark, so I've got these LED lights under the counter that turn on, so keep an eye on that. I've got 2 little containers set aside, one for the tails, one for the actual shrimp themselves. You may not need to do that if, if you don't have cats that want to get into every little thing, but I do, so I will. So let's see how these are doing. They're still pretty hard. As they get a little softer, you can start peeling the tails off. I think this one's ready. I kind of grab the tail and then pull the feet and such off. That one's not quite ready yet, so there's a point where you can get the pieces off, but the shrimp is not fully defrosted, so we'll go along with that as we go. That'll get easier to do. Pop, pop. Oh, poop. I mixed it up. How am I doing? All right. The onions are getting nice and soft, so it's time to put the shrimp in. Dump those in. Those are colder than what's in the pan, so we need to increase the heat a little bit. I'm going to go up to 7 or so on our electric range. And some of that water is going to cook up as well, so we'll just get those turned in nicely for a little bit. And as they go in now, they're gray, but they'll turn nice and pink. And that'll tell us they're done. And the flavors will all kind of marry together, and they'll be our base kind of for the soup. And then next after this is to put the soup itself in, the canned soup. Saute that for a little bit, and then put in the milk. And as I said earlier, bring that to a boil, bring it, and then lower it down and simmer it for 10 minutes. So we'll carry on with that. Okay, you can see some of the shrimp are getting nice and pink. Some are a little further along, or further back, I should say. And we're going to keep an eye on that. And as I said, once those are nice and little pink, we'll get the cans of shrimp, cans of cream potato soup, and get those in. So let's keep an eye on that. They're getting pretty good. I think, yeah, more of them are there. So let's get the soup. Okay. And here's another adaptation I've had to make because of the cats. I put the empty cans in the microwave to keep them away from the kids, because I am going to use them later on. Like I said, I'm going to pour some milk in there to measure out and to get some of the soup out. So, got that in. Now we're going to stir it all up, get that garlic and onion and cayenne goodness going. Okay, I think that's nicely mixed. So let's go get our milk out of the fridge. And like I said earlier, it's a 1.5 cans of milk. There's 1.5 cans. And as we did when we dumped in the cold shrimp, we're going to kick up the heat a little bit and keep an eye out for a boil. So, as you can see, we've got a decent boil going, so I'm going to stir a little bit before we turn the heat down. But like I said earlier, we're going to we brought it to a boil, so we're going to turn it down to low and cover it and simmer for 10 minutes. So, boop, 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 10 minutes, and there we go. The 10 minutes are up, so let's see how the soup looks. It's got a nice creamy texture to it, nice and thick. Thank you for watching that video with Learn with Cameron. I'm Cameron, of course. So I really appreciate you watching that. And if you liked what you saw, do the usual YouTube things, LSS, like, share, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.